So The Last of Us Episode 5 trailer is now out, and after that big cliffhanger for the end of Episode 4, I'm sure a lot of you are asking questions about what could happen next time. Well, if you can't wait, then this is the video for you, as throughout it we're going to be going over the new characters, game Easter eggs, and all our thoughts on what could be happening next time. Full spoilers ahead, as we will be talking about who Henry and Sam are, as well as the locations that appear in the episode and what goes down at them. With out of the way, huge thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into The Last of Us Episode 5 trailer.
Things have gone great. Haven't you heard? Kansas City is free. Where is Henry? He told me to forgive. But where is the justice in that? It ends the way it ends.
Now we start off with Kathleen talking about her group overthrowing Fedra. Kathleen is a completely new creation for the show, but there are some ways that we can put together what's happening. In the game, all of the scenes that we watch take place in 4 happen during the Pittsburgh chapter, and we can kind of use that as a basis to guess what's going on in Kansas. In the game, you arrive to find the rebels had overthrown Fedra, and this was because they'd been starving people to the point of desperation. I think in this entry that we might actually see that playing out and get a flashback to the moment that Fedra were overthrown. It seems like Kathleen has a group of people sat down and she's telling them a story about what happened, which is why she says that things have gone great. However, it looks like complete carnage, with there being fires, people getting bottles smashed over their heads like it's a like button, and trucks roaming the area searching for Henry and Sam. Bottles are used in the games as things that can distract clickers and also things that can be used as weapons. Now we catch Kathleen asking where Henry is, and this is a similar scene to the one with the doctor in the last entry. She's clearly out for blood, and my guess is that we'll learn why she wants to kill him and his brother so much. In the game they had a completely different backstory, and the pair traveled from Hartford to Pittsburgh once the military abandoned their QZ.
Where are you from?
All the way from Hartford.
Really? I heard some bad stuff going on down there.
Yeah, the military abandoned the zone. That's why we left. The place probably looks like this by now.
Here though, they were in Kathleen's crew already, and they were some of the collaborators that f***ed over their people. You see trucks roaming the streets shining flashlights, and this is very reminiscent of the run truck from the game that drove by the toy store as you hid in it. In the game, Henry and Sam took Joel and Ellie to their hideout, which was located in an office building. Overlooking a gate to the bridge leaving Pittsburgh, they waited for nightfall to make their move, and this was due to the area only operating with a skeleton crew at that point. We see lots of stuff set at night here, and there could be a similar thing going on. Now, a big change up from the game is that it looks like Sam is deaf. There was a clip released in the Weeks Ahead trailer that showed them speaking in sign language, and here it seems to further confirm that theory. Sam wasn't deaf in the game, so potentially this is me just grasping at something that isn't there, and they could be talking in sign language so that they don't alert the trucks. Clickers are of course a big threat in this world, and thus then being able to communicate without making a noise is very important. Now, the subtitles on this bit also look exactly like how they do in the game, which it is a nice bit of attention to detail. Now next we get a very important bit of text saying next Friday. That's right, you fucks. Last of Us is dropping on Friday because HBO don't want to compete with the Super Bowl. So your Sunday night Kevin spoilers fix, Sunday spoilers, that's no more, and instead you're going to be getting that Friday feeling. Why is Friday the happiest day of the week? Because the next day is a sadder day.
Ha ha!
Off! Anyway, it's possible that this Henry and Sam stuff is a flashback, as he doesn't have the orange paint that we see him wearing at the end of episode 4. Now it seems to be following the game quite a lot, as after breaking out the city, the characters made their way through some sewers which we learned were used to house a colony. As you got to the entrance, you saw that it had been painted to look like a magical castle, which is what we end up seeing here. In the game, a character called Ish had washed ashore after spending months at sea trying to escape the infected. He made a little home in the sewers, but when he got hungry, he ended up travelling out into the suburbs beside it, which is when he came across a family. Ish started trading things with them, and over time they built a relationship to the point they were actually invited to come there and live with him. Slowly a community was built out from there that had lots of families, and one of the big things about The Last of Us is that kids were pretty much overlooked and either killed or cast aside because they just slowed the adults down. This is one of the main reasons why Henry left Hartford, and seeing a location like this is a massive change up from what we typically get. Now, unfortunately, infected got in, and thus the place was overthrown, leading to several people being killed. Ish managed to make it out, but I'm hoping we get an infected scene down there like what we do in the game. Episode 4 had the tease of there being something underground, so they might build on that and then go from there. Now, intercut with these moments are shots of Joel and a figure walking away. I'm guessing that this is Ellie, and yeah, there's only 2 people there for a reason. Upon making it to the radio tower, you had to pass through some suburbs, and during this time rebels arrived before the infected started to swarm the location. Sam was bit during this, and the next morning he turned, which led to his brother shooting him. Henry shot himself. It looks like this might happen in this episode. We see Ellie and Sam on a bed passing notes to each other, and also Joel cocking a gun as he sits up in a room. This has a scope on the end of it, so I'm guessing this is the sniper section that happens just after you exit the sewers. You come across a big street, and then down at the end of it there's a sniper shooting at you, which you have to get to. The houses in the area are full of rebels, but eventually you clear the way and manage to kill the sniper. From this point you take control of the gun, and then the run truck shows up, which you have to then shoot. Looks like something similar is happening here, but instead of raiders, it's of course Kathleen's forces. We see Ellie running at one point and firing backwards, and the truck chasing her has a battering ram on it, similar to the front of the run one. Now, speaking of having to run, Joel shouts "run!" and we watch as the infected come out like in the game. They seem to be walking out of a burning house, and it could be the one that we see the explosion at earlier in the teaser. In the game, when the run truck arrived, a raider popped out the top throwing Molotovs, and when you shot him he dropped it inside, and this then crashed, which alerted the infected. They could do something similar here, with it being Joel who shoots a truck and then lets them free. Now we are finally getting a bloater in the show, which they've held off from dropping until now. Originally in Bill's section you came across one in the school, but this was changed up to give us the Frank stuff in episode 3. These are super infected people that have likely had cordyceps since the outbreak, and over the last 20 years they've changed into giant mushroom men. They're one-hit kills and completely brutal, basically tearing you apart with their bare hands once they get them on you. It's a big thing for the show, and it looks like it's setting up a major action scene in this episode. Judging by the people in the scene, it also looks like Kathleen and her crew are there, so we're going to get a big moment between the infected and humans. Anyway, that wraps up the trailer, and I hope you've been enjoying the videos so far. If you want another Last of Us one, then I'd definitely recommend that you check out Filmwise's breakdown of Craig Mazin's career and how it plays into some of the major themes in the show. Philip is a good friend of mine, and he's just left running New Rockstars to start up his own thing, and I'm not even gassing. It's one of the best put together videos that I've ever seen. Editing is top notch, and he's picked up on so many things I've not seen in other videos that I'm actually angry at myself for being such a sucker. Anyway, so head over there after this, and that's your lot, and thanks for checking out the breakdown. Thanks a bunch, mate. Now definitely check out our video on episode 4, which will be linked on screen right now, as there's so many Easter eggs in it, and if you head over there, I think I'm gonna fall in love with you. Without the way, thanks for sticking to the video. I'll see you over there. You take care of yourself. Peace.